Molly was dead to begin with. There is no doubt whatsoever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Molly was as dead as a doornail. Mind you, I don't know what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadliest piece of ironmongery in the trade. But the wisdom of our ancestors is the simile, and our unhallowed hand shall not disturb it, or the country is done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Molly was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole friend, and sole mourner. There is no doubt Molly was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story we're about to relate. Scrooge never painted out old Molly's name. There it stood years afterward. Sometimes people new to the business even called Scrooge Molly, but he answered to both names. Oh, he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge, cheap and hard as flint, as secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather. Scrooge had lit a small fire, but the clerk's fire was so much smaller that it looked like one coal. Bob Cratchit, Scrooge's loyal clerk, walks to the scuttle for coal, but is stopped in his tracks by the look from his employer. He returns to his desk, puts on his muffler, and holds his hands over a small candle for warmth. Scrooge's nephew Fred, a cheerful, well-dressed young man, enters.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Bah, humbug.
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? Oh, you don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas. What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
What right have you to be dismal? You're rich enough.
Bah, humbug.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money, for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer? If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with a Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it? But you don't keep it.
Well, let me leave it alone then. Much good may it do you. Much good has it ever done you?
There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited. I dare say Christmas among the rest. But I've always thought of Christmas time as a good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
Bravo! Bravo!
Let me hear another sound from you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder why you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow.
I'll see you in hell first.
But why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. And that is the one thing in life more ridiculous than a Merry Christmas. Good afternoon.
Now, Uncle, you never came to see me before I got married. Why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry with all my heart to see you so resolute. We never had any quarrel to which I had been a party. But I have made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So, a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
Good day, sir. And might if I say, sir, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Bob. And to Mrs. Cratchit and your fine children.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. 7 years ago this night.
We have no doubt his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner.
At this festive time of year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision to provide for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comfort, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And the workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are. I wish I could say they were not.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?
Both very busy, sir.
Oh, I was afraid from what you had said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. Very glad to hear it.
A few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time, of all others, when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish for, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I've mentioned. They cost enough. And those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they would rather die, they had better do so and decrease the surplus population. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Vultures. They want to feed on me.
To save us all from Satan's power when we were gone.
Be off with you.
Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
As the clock strikes 5, the men start to close up shop. Cratchit holds Scrooge's coat and hat for him. You want the whole day off, I suppose?
If quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient and it's not fair. If I stopped you half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, wouldn't you? But you don't think me ill-used if I pay a day's wages for no work,
'Tis only once a year, sir.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December.
I'm sure I'm very sorry, sir, to have caused you such an inconvenience, sir. It is the family more than me, sir, that put their hearts in Christmas, as it were, sir.
Yes, and put their hands into my pockets, as it were, sir. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier next morning.
I will indeed, sir. Thank you, sir. It's more than generous of you, sir.
Yes, I know it is. You don't have to tell me.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas. You a clerk and 15 shillings a week with a wife and a family talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam. The office was closed in a twinkling, and the clerk with the long ends of his comforter dangling below his waist ran home to Camden Town as fast as he could. Scrooge returned to his chambers, which had once belonged to his deceased partner. The building was old enough and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, was forced to grope his way with his hands. Now it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. It is also a fact that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence at the place. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon. And then let any man explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker not a knocker, but Marley's face. To say that he was not startled would be untrue, but yet he put his hand upon the key, turned it sturdily, and walked in. Scrooge removed his coat and hat and lit a candle on his desk. He moved behind the dressing screen to change into his nightshirt.
Good evening, Mr. Scrooge. I left your dinner on the table. If you'll not be needing me, I'll be getting on then.
Scrooge appeared in his robe and sits in the armchair to eat his dinner. A rush of wind blows out Scrooge's candle. He relights the candle, but it blows out again. Now in the gloom, the sound of the wind has voices in it. Scrooge is visibly frightened. In the corner of the room, an old dusty call bell hanging on the wall begins to swing. More bells are heard in the room. Terrified, Scrooge moves to the bed and looks under it, behind chairs and his dressing screen. He returns to his desk and again tries to eat his dinner, but is startled as two objects fly from the mantel across the room. From below there is a rattling of chains and heavy footsteps. It's humbug still. I won't hear it. The door to his room flies open. Scrooge, crouching behind his chair, yelps in fear. The fire momentarily blazes up as the ghost of Scrooge's partner, Jacob Marley, appears. Ah! Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
All right. Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
What do you want with me?
Much.
Well, in that case, can you sit down?
I can.
We'll do it then.
You don't believe in me.
I don't.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are.
Men of the worldly mind, do you believe me or not?
I do. I must. But why do you walk the earth, and why do you come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk among his fellow men, and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turn to happiness.
Why are you fettered?
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it, link by link, and yard by yard. I girded it on of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it.
You have my sympathy.
Ah, you do not know the length and weight of chain you bear yourself. It was as full and heavy and long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago, and you have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain. Mark me. In life my spirit never roamed beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole. Now I am doomed to wander without rest or peace, incessant torture and remorse.
But it was only that you were a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! Mankind was my business. Their common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. Hear me, my time is nearly gone. I come tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate, a chance of hope of my procuring, Ebenezer.
Thank you, Jacob. You were always a good friend to me.
You will be visited by 3 spirits.
What? Is that the chance of hope you mentioned, Jacob?
It was.
Well, I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tonight, when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
Expect the second on the next night, at the same hour. The third upon the next night, when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and look that for your own sake you remember what has passed between us.
And in an instant Marley was gone. The air was filled with phantoms wandering hither and thither in a restless haste, and moaning as they went. Every one of them wore chains like Marley's ghost. None were free. The misery with them all was clearly that they sought to interfere for good in human matters, and had lost the power forever. Whether these creatures had faded into the mist, or mist enshrouded them forever, he could not tell. But they and their spirit voices faded together. The night became as it had been when he walked home. A quarter past. Half past. A quarter to it. The hour itself and nothing. Nothing else. Bah, humbug. The bright light filled the curtained bed where Scrooge had hidden. Above Scrooge's head appeared the face of Christmas past. Are you the spirit, sir, whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
And may I inquire what manner of business brings you here?
Your welfare.
Indeed. Well, I'm sure I'm much obliged. I can't help but think a night of unbroken sleep might have been more conducive to that end.
Your reclamation, then. Take heed. Rise and walk with me.
But I am mortal and liable to fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
As the words were spoken, they passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road, with fields on either hand. The city had entirely vanished. Not a vestige of it was to be seen. The darkness and the mist had vanished with it, for it was a clear, cold winter day, with snow upon the ground. Good heavens!
You know this place?
Know it! I was a boy here. Look, there's my old school.
Your lip is trembling. And what is that upon your cheek?
Nothing. Merely a pimple. Lead me where you would.
You recollect the way?
Remember it? I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange to have forgotten it for so many years. Let us go on. The school is not quite deserted. A solitary boy, forgotten by his friends, is left there still.
Poor boy. I wish... Oh, but it's too late now.
What is the matter?
Oh, nothing. Just... Well, there was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I'd like to have given him something, that's all.
Ebenezer!
Fun.
Little Fan.
Oh, dear brother, I've come to bring you home. Home, home, home!
Home?
Yes, home for good and all. Home forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be. That home is like heaven.
For you, perhaps. Not for me. He doesn't know me or even what I look like. The same as I hardly know you that you're all grown up. Mama must have looked the same as you now before she died.
Perhaps that is what has changed his mind towards you. He spoke to me so gently one night as I was going to bed that I was not afraid to ask him just once more if you might come home. And he said, yes, you should, and sent me in a carriage to bring you. And you are never to come back here any more, and you'll never be lonely again, never as long as I live.
Then you must live forever, Fan.
You must forgive Papa and forget the past, for our dear mother's sake.
Oh, Fan.
Your sister always was a delicate creature, whom breath might have withered. But she had a large heart.
She had.
She died a married woman, and had, as I think, children.
One child.
True, Your nephew.
She died, giving him life.
As your mother died, giving you life, for which your father never forgave you, as if you were to blame.
Although they had but that moment left the school behind them, they were now in the busy thoroughfares of a city, where shadowy passengers passed and repassed, where carts and coaches battled for the way, and all the strife and tumult of the real city were. It was made plain enough by the dressing of the shops that here, too, it was Christmas time again. But it was evening, and the streets were lighted up. Scrooge recognized every gate, post, and tree. All the people passing by were in great spirits, laughing and greeting each other. The ghost stopped at a certain warehouse door, and asked Scrooge if he knew it.
You recollect this place?
I was an apprentice here.
Yo-ho there!
Why, it's old Fezziwig. Bless his heart. It's Fezziwig alive again.
Ebenezer, Dick.
Dick Wilkins, to be sure. Bless me, yes, he was very much attached to me. Dear Dick.
Close up, my boys. No more work tonight. Christmas Eve, Dick. Christmas, Ebenezer. Let's have the shutters up before a man can say,
Jack Robinson!
Clear away, lads. Let's have lots of room there. That's my lads. Don't shame me, boys. Don't shame me. Never let it be said on Christmas Eve that Fezziwig was unprepared.
Come on, Ebenezer. Give us a hand here.
Yo-ho, my beautiful wife and my lovely daughters. Don't they look a treat?
Oh, it was a labor of love. I crumpled their hair and powdered their faces. Oh, aren't they lovely?
Very lovely, but none of them as lovely as their dear old mum.
Oh.
Belle.
That was the Christmas Eve you met.
She was an angel.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Come in, come in. Ladies and gentlemen, no, let me call you friends. If you will allow me, there's no gold as dear as friends, no treasure as rich as laughter. I wish you all the comfort, the cheer of Christmas. Let us drink to the day. God bless it.
Oh, Merry
To
Christmas.
God bless
Merry
it!
Christmas.
To my neighbors, to my wife, to my highly eligible daughters, not to mention the turkey and the punch. Ah, the punch. Tomorrow it will punch me back. And to all our dear friends who are no longer with us, and a Merry Christmas to you all.
Long live the Fezziwigs.
Merry Christmas
Merry
to the Fezziwigs! Hurrah for the Fezziwigs!
A small matter to make these silly folks so full of gratitude.
Small?
Why, is it not? He has spent but a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much that he deserves this praise?
It isn't that, Spirit. He has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Say that his power lies in words and looks, in things so slight and insignificant that it is impossible to add and count him up. What then? The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it had cost, well, a fortune.
What is the matter?
Nothing particular.
Something, I think.
No, I should like to have been able to say a word or two to my clerks just now, that's all.
My time grows short. Quick!
Again Scrooge saw himself. He was older now, a man in the prime of his life. His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years, but it had begun to show the signs of care and avarice. There was an eager, greedy, restless motion in his eyes, which showed the passion that had taken root, and where the shadows of the growing tree would fall. He was not alone.
It matters little to you, very little. Another idol has displaced me, and if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come, as I would have tried to do, I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
This is the even-handed dealing of the world. There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and yet there is nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off, one by one, until the master passion, gain, engrosses you.
What then? Even if I had grown so much wiser, what then? I am not changed towards you. Am I?
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until, in good season, we could improve our worldly fortune by our patient industry. You are changed. When it was made, you were another man.
I was a boor.
Your own feeling tells you that you were not what you are. I am. That which promised happiness when we were one in heart is fraught with misery now that we are two. How often and how keenly I have thought of this, I will not say. It is enough that I have thought of it and can release you.
Have I ever sought release?
In words? No, never.
In what then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. If this had ever been between us, tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now?
You think not?
I would gladly think otherwise if I could, heaven knows. But if you were free today, tomorrow, yesterday, can even I believe that you would choose a dowerless girl, you who weigh everything by gain?
Belle.
Or, choosing her, do I not know that your repentance and your regret would surely follow? I do, and I release you, with a full heart, for the love of him who you once were.
Spirit, show me no more.
You may have pain in this. The memory of what is past half makes me hope you will. A very, very brief time, and you will dismiss the recollection of it gladly as an unprofitable dream, from which it happened well that you awoke. May you be happy in the life that you've chosen.
Belle. Belle!
Go after her, you fool! Spirit, conduct me home. Why do you delight to torture me? Spirit, remove me from this place.
One shadow more.
No more! No more! I do not wish to see it. Show me no more. Scrooge turns away as two children run in, followed by their mother, Belle. A man sneaks up behind her, putting his hands over her eyes.
Guess who?
Papa! Papa!
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours this afternoon.
Who was it?
Guess.
How can I? Tut, I don't know. Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window, and as it was not shut up and he had a candle inside, I could scarcely help seeing him. His partner lies upon the point of death, I hear, and there he sat alone. Quite alone in the world, I do believe. Come along, girls.
Spirit, remove me from this place.
I told you these were shadows of the things that have been, that they are what they are. Do not blame me.
Remove me.
What do you want more than anything in the whole wide world?
To go home.
There's no gold as dear as friends, no treasure as rich as laughter.
He said yes. He said yes. He said yes.
Spirit, haunt me no longer.
It matters little to you, very little.
Belle,
Christmas Eve, Dick. Christmas, Ebenezer. Yo-ho, lads.
no more. I have mercy on me.
Home, brother. I've come to bring you home. Home, home.
There is something you love more than me.
It was not so, Belle. Or if it was, Spirit, I can look no longer. Let me see no more. Scrooge was alone again, and in his room again. And being much in need of repose, he went straight to his bed, and fell asleep upon the instant. Awakened in the middle of a prodigious snore, and sitting up in his bed, Scrooge heard the bell which told him that the clock once again was upon the stroke of 1. And being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour went by, and nothing came. He paced about the room, and suddenly became aware of a blaze of ruddy light.
Scrooge! Scrooge! Come in and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the likes of me before.
Never.
You have never walked with my brothers?
I don't think so. Have you many brothers?
More than 1,800.
A tremendous family to provide for. Spirits, conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion, and I learnt a lesson which is working now. Knight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe.
Suddenly they stood in the city streets on Christmas morning. There was nothing very cheerful in the climate, and yet there was an air of cheerfulness that the brightest summer might have endeavored to diffuse in vain. The citizens were all so hurried and so eager that they tumbled up against each other, clashing their grocery baskets wildly. They left purchases on the counter and went back to fetch them, and committed hundreds of little mistakes in the best humor possible. Soon the steeples called good people all to church, and at the same time there emerged from scores of streets the innumerable poor, carrying their meager dinners to the baker's shop, for they had no ovens of their own. The ghost of Christmas present sprinkled his torch over the passing pedestrians. Is there a particular flavor in what you sprinkle from your torch?
There is, my own.
Would it apply to any kind of dinner on this day?
To any kindly given, to a poor one most.
Why to a poor one most?
Because it needs it most.
Spirit, I wonder that you, of all the beings in the world, should desire to cramp these people's opportunities of innocent enjoyment.
I?
You would deprive them of their means of dining every seventh day, wouldn't you?
I?
You seek to close these places on the seventh day, which comes to the same thing.
I seek.
Forgive me if I'm wrong. It has been done in your name, or at least that of your family.
There are some upon this earth of yours who lay claim to know us, and who do their deeds of passion, pride, ill will, hatred, envy, bigotry, and selfishness in our name, who are as strange to us and all our kith and kin as if they had never lived. Remember that, and charge their doings on themselves, not us. Look there.
Well, will you conduct me, Spirit?
Last night you traveled through time. I will transport you through space. Advance! Come, man! You will see this earth's children that I serve. Witness them. See their faces, the happy, the sad, the young and the old, those with plenty and the poor.
And perhaps it was the pleasure the good Spirit had in showing off this power of his, or else it was his own kind, generous nature, and his sympathy with all poor men, that led him straight to the home of Scrooge's clerk.
Mother!
Well, where have you two been?
We were at the baker's.
We went to see the goose. It's bigger than Belinda.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Oh, stop fussing and close the door before we all catch our death of cold.
Who are they?
The family of your 15-shilling clerk. There's Mrs. Cratchit, wearing a threadbare gown made brave by ribbons. That's Peter, Rebecca, Dorrit, and little Belinda.
Potatoes are done, Mother.
Well, they can't be done. Your father's not home yet. Nor Tim. Well, how can the potatoes be done when they're not here? Nor Martha neither. She wasn't this late last Christmas.
She's coming up the road this minute. Here she is.
Martha!
Oh, bless your heart, how late you are. Oh, your hands are like ice.
I got away as soon as I could. We had a good deal of work to finish up last night, and I had to clear away this morning.
Well, never mind, so long as you are here. Oh, sit by the fire, dear, warm up. Don't they feed you in that place?
Father's coming.
Hide, Martha, hide!
We'll surprise them.
Hide under the
Hide
table.
behind the chair.
Over here.
No, over here.
They'll never find you here.
One squeak from either of you mice and I'll chop your heads off.
There we are, home at last. There's your favorite seat by the fire. There, my lad. Miss Cratchit, my love, you are still the prettiest girl in Camden Town. I declare Merry Christmas. Why, where's our Martha?
Not coming.
Not coming? Not coming for Christmas?
Martha!
No, I cannot bear them teasing you.
That's better, Miss Cratchit? I am a wealthy man. Martha, tell us about the milliner's shop.
Well, it's feathers and ribbons and bows and straw 14 hours a day.
That must go to your head.
Oh, Peter.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
I saw a countess in furs and a lord the day before yesterday. The lord was about the size of Peter. Most of them, they can never decide what they want. Do I want the grey velvet with the red cherries for 3 guineas, or the black straw with ribbons for 4?
Such a crisis, dear. You mustn't be subjected to the choice. We'll have both.
Peter, you are a goose.
Oh, good heavens, the goose! Oh, Peter, run to the baker's and fetch the goose.
Can we go with him, Mother? Please?
Yes, go, shoo.
I'm going
No.
to help you carry it.
No, I am.
No, I am.
No, you can't. You're too small.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Oh, Martha, help Rebecca finish setting the table. Tim, take your hat off, mash the potatoes. Children, look at your father. He's beaming like the man in the moon. He's got what he wants.
The goose?
No, us all together.
I am a rich man.
He keeps saying that. Not on 15 bob a week, he's not.
And how did Tim behave in church?
As good as gold and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful sitting by himself so much and thinks of the strangest things you ever heard. He told me coming home from church that he hoped people saw him in church because he was crippled, and it might be pleasant to remember upon Christmas Day who made the lame beggars walk and the blind men see.
My little Tim. And now, Rebecca, take your brother to the wash house, and when you come back, you can hear the pudding sing.
The pudding sings?
The steam, Mr. Cratchit. It whistles on the boil, you know.
Oh, aye, it does. Go along, Tim. She's a rare Christmas pudding, and she'll sing for you.
Oh, Bob. My poor Bob.
Coming home, Tim told me he loves to ride on my shoulders because he's a little closer to heaven. He's growing stronger every day. Martha, doesn't he seem better since you were last home? I truly believe he's growing up hearty and strong. Oh, Martha, you look exhausted. They work you too hard at that millinery. I mind to tell him that. Yes, I do.
Hello?
We're here! We're here!
Oh, it's Peter with the goose.
Children, it's here from the baker. Dorrit, Rebecca, Belinda, come. That's a boy, Tim. Bless you, Peter. You're quite the man. I used to have to fetch the goose myself.
Sit down, everyone.
Oh, Miss Cratchit, there never was such a goose.
Indeed, its tenderness and flavor was the theme of universal admiration. And though, the truth be told, it was a meager-looking bird, eked out by stuffing and mashed potatoes, it was a sufficient dinner for the whole family, and, wonder of wonders, on this wondrous holy day, everyone had enough. The Cratchits were steeped in sage and onions to the eyebrows, and now the moment of crisis was at hand.
And now, Miss Cratchit, the pudding.
Oh, Bob, it always makes me so nervous. No, Martha, I can't turn out a pudding with people watching. Now, you know that.
That's right, Martha. Sit down and rest. Your mother goes through the same thing every Christmas. Suppose it's not done. Suppose it breaks.
Suppose someone climbed over the fence and stole it.
What's that smell? Smells like laundry. That's the cloth. She's unwrapping it. What's that smell? Smells like a pastry shop. What's that smell? A smell of blazing brandy. Why, that's the pudding!
The pudding!
The pudding? Oh, but Spirit, it's such a small pudding for such a large family.
It will serve, Ebenezer. It will serve.
A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us.
God bless us. Everyone.
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No. Oh, no, kind spirit. Say he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. What then? If he be like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Will you decide what men shall live and what men shall die? It may be that in the sight of heaven, you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child.
Let me propose a toast, my dear.
A toast?
I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I would give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, it's Christmas Day.
Well, it should be Christmas Day, I'm sure, on which one drinks to the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Robert. Nobody knows it better than you.
My dear, Christmas Day?
I'll drink to his health for your sake and for the sake of the day. Long life to him, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
And now, without a word of warning from the ghost, he stood upon a bleak and deserted moor. It was a great surprise to Scrooge, while listening to the roaring of the wind, to hear hearty laughter. It was a much greater surprise to Scrooge to recognize it as his own nephew's laugh, and to find himself in a bright, beaming room with the spirit standing by his side. There stood his own nephew, laughing heartily. Scrooge's niece by marriage laughed as brightly as he, and their assembled friends, being not a bit behindhand, roared out lustily. "'Tis my nephew! Why am I here of all places?"
And buried with a stake of holly in his heart.
Well, I don't believe it.
He did. He said Christmas was a humbug and meant it.
More shame for him, Fred.
He's not exactly pleasant, but he's a comical old fellow.
I heard he's very rich.
The old miser.
You can't prove it by any generosity Fred's received. I've no patience with him.
His offense carries its own punishment, my love. I'm sorry for him. Who suffers for his ill will but himself? He refused my invitation to dinner, which meant poor Topper had to eat Uncle Scrooge's share as well as his own.
His absence is itself a kind of gift.
But he missed something far more important than a Christmas feast.
What could possibly be more important than an excellent dinner? A dinner faultlessly wrought by Sybil and her lovely sisters.
I was going to say that the consequence of his taking dislike to us and not making merry with us is, as I think, that he loses some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. I am sure he loses pleasanter companions than he can find in his own thoughts, either in his mouldy old office or his dusty chambers. Well, I mean to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not, for I pity him. I intend to go there in good temper year after year, saying, "Uncle Scrooge, how are you?" If it only puts him in the vein to leave his poor clerk £50, that's something. And I think I shook him yesterday.
You'll give yourself too much credit, old boy. I think it would take far more than one of your speeches to shake the old miser.
Well, I still contend he has missed something far better than an excellent feast.
And what might that be?
My wife herself. Uncle Scrooge has lost much by not knowing her. She is altogether satisfactory.
You'll never make a poet.
Well, she is. You are highly satisfactory to me.
You're a lucky man, Fred. A bachelor is nothing but a wretched outcast of society, eh? Dependent upon others for scraps of affection and crumbs of comfort.
Spare us your poetry. It turns your miser into misery. I wish some kind of young woman would take pity on you.
Well, as there are no volunteers, we must cheer you up somehow.
It's desolation.
Come, desolation. Your tears will make the carpets mildew. Let's play a game.
Yes,
Blind man's bluff.
Twist.
Blind man's bluff it is. Your throne, my lady, you must sit in comfort like a queen.
I'd rather sit in authority like a judge.
Who'll be first?
Oh, me!
Topper. All right, everybody hide.
Mr. Topper, you've given me palpitations.
Look, Miss Cora. Mistletoe!
How do you judge that game, Your Honor?
I judge that in Mr. Topper's case, love is not blind.
Well, at least he did not marry a fool.
Oh, let's play a quiet game. I'm better at them.
Tell me, do you giggle like your sister?
I never giggle.
Do you scream?
Only at mice.
Oh, let's play yes and no.
Ooh, I've got one.
Is it animal or vegetable?
That is not a yes or no question.
Is it an animal?
Yes.
A living animal?
Well, not really. Not at all.
A savage beast.
Ah, yes.
Native habitat. Is its native habitat Europe?
No.
Oh, what about Africa?
What about the Western Hemisphere?
No.
Asia?
Yes, Asia.
No.
Well, then it must be England.
England indeed. England is the habitat of many savage beasts.
Is the animal
A wild boar?
No.
a boar?
Never.
A bear?
Sorry.
A lion in a zoo.
A jackal?
Well?
I protest. When I asked if it was a bear, you should have answered yes.
Ah, me. He's given us enough merriment tonight. It would be ungrateful not to drink to his health. To Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, wherever he may be.
Hark, my time is drawing near.
Our spirits' lives so short?
My life upon this globe is very brief. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at midnight. Hark, the time is drawing near.
Forgive me if I'm not justified in what I ask, but I see something strange not belonging to yourself there at the foot of your robe. Is it a foot or claw?
It might be a claw. There is so little flesh upon it. Look here.
Spirit, are they yours?
They are man's. This boy is ignorance. This girl is want. Beware them both, but most of all, beware this boy.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
The ghost of Christmas present is gone, leaving Scrooge alone. He lifts his eyes and sees a solemn phantom coming toward him. Scrooge kneels before the spirit, his eyes downcast. I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Are you about to show me shadows of things that have not happened but will happen in the time before us? Is that so, Spirit? I fear you more than any scepter I have seen. I know your purpose, to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear you company and do it with a thankful heart. Will you not speak to me? Lead on, then. The night is waning fast, and time is precious to me, I know. Lead on, Spirit. They scarcely seemed to enter the city. The city rather seemed to spring up upon them and encompass them on its own. But there they were in the heart of it, amongst the merchants who hurried up and down and clinked the money in their pockets, conversed in groups, and looked at their watches, as Scrooge had seen them often.
No, I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Why? What was the matter with him? I thought he'd never die.
God knows.
What has he done with his money?
I haven't heard. Left it to his company, perhaps. He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know. It's likely to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life I don't know anybody who'd go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going if a lunch is provided, but I must be fed.
Well, I am the most disinterested among you, after all, for I never wear black gloves, and I never eat lunch. But I'll offer to go if anybody else will go. When I come to think of it, I am not sure that I wasn't his most particular friend. We used to stop and speak whenever we met. Good evening.
They left the busy scene and went into an obscure part of town where Scrooge had never been before. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half naked, drunken, slipshod, and ugly. Alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offences of smell and dirt and life upon the straggling streets, and the whole quarter reeked with filth and misery. A laundress with a large bundle enters old Joe's shop, followed closely by Scrooge's housekeeper, Mrs. Dilber, also with a bundle. They are joined by the undertaker. Each of them stops momentarily, startled by the others.
Evening to you. What have we got here?
Oh, look here, old Joe. Myself and the undertaker came together here at the same instant. I don't like that, Joe. I always try to beat the undertaker, as they say.
You can try, my darling, but he'll catch up with you one day. Of that you may be persuasively sure.
You speak the truth.
Well, come into the parlor and let's see what you've got.
What odds then, Mrs. Dilber? What odds? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
Oh, that's true indeed. No man more so.
Why, then, don't stand stern as if you was afraid, woman. Who's the wiser? We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose.
I should hope not.
No, indeed.
If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, the wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck by death, instead of lying gasping out his last there, alone by himself.
It's the truest word that ever was spoke. It's a judgment on him.
Then let the charwoman alone to be the first, leave me to be the second, and let the undertaker be the third.
I wish it was a little heavier, and it should have been, you may depend upon it, if I could have laid my hands on anything else. Open my bundle, Joe. Let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor afraid for them to see it. It's no sin. Open the bundle, Joe.
If you please, ladies. But a few leavings. I could not bear to see them coffined up, as it were.
Sleeve buttons, gloves, a pencil case, a seal, a gold tooth. You took his gold tooth.
Better here than in a grave.
That's your account. And I wouldn't give another sixpence if I was to be boiled for not doing it. Who's next?
Oh, do mine now, Joe. Now, those are good sheets there. Not much wear in 'em. Those shoes, he never walked but to his office and back. That's real silver, that is.
I always give too much to the ladies. It's a weakness of mine, and that's the way I ruin myself. That's your account. If you asked me for another penny, I'd repent of being so liberal and knock off half a crown.
And now undo my bundle, Joe.
What do you call this? Bed curtains? You don't mean to say you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there?
Yes, I do. Why not?
You were born to make your fortune.
I certainly shan't hold my hand when I can get anything by reaching it out. Not for the sake of such a man as he was, I promise you. Don't drop the wax upon the blankets now.
His blankets?
Whose else's do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without 'em, I dare say.
I hope he didn't die of anything catching.
Don't you be afraid of that. I ain't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about him for such things if he did. Ah, you may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one, too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting it?
Putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for that purpose, it isn't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming to the body. He can't look uglier than he did in that one.
He frightened everyone away from him when he was alive, to profit us when he was dead. I'll give you this and not a halfpenny more. But come now, darlings, drink a cup of cheer with old Joe.
God bless you, Joe.
With the profits I've given you, you'll have a fine Christmas after all, won't you?
So you could say the old bird didn't die in vain.
Spirit, I see the case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. Merciful heavens, what is this? Scrooge recoiled in terror, for the scene had changed, and now he almost touched a bare, uncurtained bed, on which beneath a ragged sheet there lay something, covered up, which announced itself in an awful language. The room was very dark, too dark to be observed with any accuracy, though Scrooge glanced round it in obedience to a secret impulse, anxious to know what kind of room it was. A pale light fell straight upon the bed, and on it, plundered and bereft, unwatched, unwept, uncared for, was the body of this man. The cover was so carelessly adjusted that the slightest raising of it, the motion of a finger upon Scrooge's part, would have disclosed the face. The body lay in the house, with not a man, woman, or child to say that he was kind to me in this or that, and for the memory of one kind word, I will be kind to him. Spirit, this is a fearful place. In leaving it, I shall not leave its lessons. Trust me. Let me go. Still the ghost pointed with an unmoved finger to the head. I understand you. I would do it if I could, but I have not the power, Spirit. I have not the power. Again the ghost silently looked upon him. If there is any person in this town who feels emotion caused by this man's death, show that person to me, Spirit. I beseech you. The ghost cast a dark shadow before him for a moment, and withdrawing it revealed a room where a young woman expected someone with anxious eagerness. She walked up and down the room, and startled at every sound.
Is it good or bad?
Bad.
We are quite ruined?
No, there's hope yet, Caroline.
If he relents, there is. Nothing's past hope if such a miracle has happened.
No, he is past relenting. He is dead.
Thank the Lord. Oh, may God forgive me for saying so.
When I went to see him last night to beg a week's delay, I told you of the half-drunken woman who said he was very ill. I thought it was merely an excuse to avoid me, but it turns out to have been quite true. He was not only very ill, but dying then.
To whom will our debt be transferred?
I don't know, but before that time, we shall be ready with the money. And even though we were not, it would be bad fortune indeed to find so merciless a creditor in his successor. We may sleep tonight with light hearts, Caroline.
Let me see some tenderness connected with a death, or that dark chamber which we left just now, Spirit, will be forever present with me. The ghost conducted him through several streets familiar to his feet, and as they went along, Scrooge looked here and there to find himself, but nowhere was he to be seen. They entered Bob Cratchit's house, the dwelling he had visited before, and found the mother and the children seated round the fire, quiet, very quiet.
And he took a child and set him in the midst of them. And taking him in his arms, he said, what's the matter, Mother?"
The color hurts my eyes. They're better now. Makes them weak by candlelight. Oh, and I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home. Not for the world. It must be near his time.
"Past it, rather. But I think he's walked a little slower than he used to these last few evenings."
I've known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder, very fast indeed.
"And so have I, often."
And so have I.
And I.
But he was very light to carry, and his father loved him so. It was no trouble, no trouble. Oh, here's your father now.
Hello, my dears. You certainly have been getting on with the work very nicely indeed. You'll be done long before Sunday.
Sunday. You went today then, Robert?
Yes, my dear. I wish you could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green the place is. But you'll see it often. I promised him I would walk there of a Sunday. My child, my little child. Saw Mr. Screw's nephew on the way. On seeing me look a little down, he asked what distressed me. He's the pleasantest spoken gentleman you have ever heard. "I'm heartily sorry for it, Mr. Cratchit," he said, "and heartily sorry for your good wife." How he knew that, I don't know.
Knew what, my dear?
Why, that you were a good wife.
Get along with ye.
"Heartily sorry," he said, "for you and your good wife. If I can be of any service to you in any way," he said, giving me his card, "that's where I live. Pray come to me." Now, it wasn't for the sake of anything he might be able to do for us, so much as for his kind way, that this was quite delightful. I really seemed as if he had known our Tim and felt with us.
Oh, I'm sure he's a good soul.
You would be sure of it, my dear. If you saw and spoke to him, I shouldn't be surprised if he got Peter in a better situation.
Oh, just hear that, Peter.
And then Peter will be keeping company with someone and setting up for himself.
"Well, get along with you."
It's just as likely as not. One of these days, though there's plenty of time for that, my dear. But however and whenever we part from one another, I'm sure we shall none of us forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we? Or the first parting that there was among us.
"Never, Father."
And I know when we recollect how patient and mild he was, though he was but a little child, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves and forget poor Tim in doing it.
No,
Never,
Father.
Father.
I am very happy. I am very, very happy.
Spirit, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. Tell me what man that was whom we saw lying dead. This place is where my place of occupation is, and has been for a length of time. I see the house. Let me behold what I shall be in the days to come. The house is yonder. Why do you point away? They enter a small cemetery and come upon a gravestone.
Before I draw near that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or are they the shadows of things that may be? Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends, to which if persevered in they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it is thus with what you show me. No! Am I that man who lay upon the bed? No, Spirit! No, no, Spirit, hear me! I am not the man I was. I am not the man I might have been. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Good Spirit, pity me. Tell me that I yet may change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirit of all three shall thrive within me. I will not shut out the lessons they teach. O Spirit, tell me I may wash away the writing on this stone. I am not the man I was. I am not the man I was.
Scrooge looks up to see he is back in his own room, and the ghost of Christmas future has vanished.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall thrive within me. O Jacob Marley, heaven in Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, old Jacob, on my knees.
Good morning, sir.
Tell me, what day is it?
What day? Why, it's Christmas Day, of course.
Christmas Day? Christmas Day? Then I haven't missed it. The spirits must have done everything in one night. But of course they can do anything, can't they? Of course they can.
Are you quite yourself, sir?
What? I don't know. No, I don't think so. Well, I hope not.
What?
The curtains are still here. They're still here. You didn't tear them down and sell them. They're here. Everything's here. I'm here. And the shadows of things that would be can still be dispelled. They will be. I know they will be. I don't know what to do. Well, I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. As merry as a schoolboy. As giddy as a drunk man. A Merry Christmas, Ebenezer, you old humbug. And a Happy New Year, as if you deserve it. Oh, and a Merry Christmas, Mrs. Dilber.
Same to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, and many more to you. There's the corner where the spirit of Christmas present sat. There's the door where Jacob entered. It's right. It's true. It's all happened. Oh, come back, Miss Dilber. Come back, please, Mrs. Dilber. I'm not mad, although I may appear so.
Well, don't be violent, Mr. Scrooge, or you'll force me to scream for the beadle.
The beadle, ma'am.
What? A guinea? Here, what for?
I'll give you one guess.
To keep me mouth shut.
To keep your mouth shut. No, Mrs. Dilber. It's for a Christmas present.
A Christmas present? For me?
Of course for you. A Merry Christmas, dear Mrs. Dilber. How much do I pay you?
2 shillings a week.
2 shillings? It's forthwith raised to 10.
10 shillings a week? Yeah, are you sure you don't want to see a doctor?
A doctor? Certainly not. Nor an undertaker. Now off you go and enjoy yourself like a good girl.
Bob's your uncle. Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge, in keeping with the situation.
I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've been among the spirits. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. Never mind, I don't care. I'd rather be a baby. Oh, glorious, glorious bells. Hello? Hello, I say, boy. You down there, boy?
Sir?
Yes, you, my fine fellow. Do you know the Poulter shop in the next street at the corner?
I should hope I did.
An intelligent boy, a remarkable boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
What? The one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. Pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there now.
Is it? Go and buy it then.
Oh, cur!
No, I'm in earnest. Go and buy it and tell them to bring it here that I may give them direction on where to take it. Come back with the man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes and I'll give you a half a crown.
Woo!
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit. He shan't know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim.
He dressed himself in all his best, and personally saw to it that the Cratchit turkey went off to Camden Town in its own special cab. By this time the people were pouring forth, as he had seen them with the ghost of Christmas present. And so this brand new, Christmas new, Ebenezer went on his way. He regarded everyone with a delighted smile. He went to church and walked about the streets. He patted children on the head and questioned beggars, and looked into the kitchens of houses, and found that everything gave him pleasure. He had never dreamt that any walk, anything, could give him so much pleasure.
Oh dear, I am sorry.
Oh, it's nothing. I say, aren't you the gentleman who solicited me yesterday about the Christmas fund?
Oh, why, yes, Mr. Scrooge.
Yes, that is my name. I fear I may not have been pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon. Will you have the goodness to accept my apology in the form of a donation? Here, let me write it in your book for you.
Lord bless me.
Dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
If you please. Not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favor?
My dear sir, I don't know what to say. Just generosity.
Don't say anything, please, but come and see me. Will you come and see me?
We will.
Thank ye. I am much obliged to you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you. Fred?
Why, bless my soul, it can't be.
It's I, your Uncle Scrooge. How are you, my dear? A lovely wife, I've always said so. The smartest thing you've ever done, my boy, was to marry this remarkable young lady.
Mr. Scrooge, are you well?
I am well, my dear. God bless you for asking. So well as to take you up on your word, nephew. I will come to dinner if you'll still have me.
To ours? For Christmas dinner?
Yes, Fred, to your house. For dinner and games. Oh, I do love games. May we play blind man's bluff?
Indeed, uncle. Indeed we may.
But not yes and no. I don't like that game, sorry.
Then we shan't play it. Whatever you want, uncle.
Well, we'd best be about it then. It's only once a year, Fred. Only once a year.
They were home in 5 minutes. Nothing could be merrier. A wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful happiness. But he was up all the earlier the next morning. He wanted to catch Bob Cratchit unaware. How he hoped Bob would be late.
8 o'clock, and no Bob. 1/4 past, and still no Bob. Cratchit, you're late. What do you mean coming in this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I'm behind my time, sir.
You are indeed. Step this way, if you please.
It's only once a year, sir. It won't be repeated. I'm afraid I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
Oh, I'm sure you were. Well, we won't beat around the bush, my friend. I won't stand for this sort of thing any longer, which leaves me no alternative but to raise your salary.
Sir, I beg you, please don't. What?
I haven't taken leave of my senses, Bob. I've come to them. From now on, I want to try and help you raise that family of yours. You'll let me? Well, we can talk about it later over a bowl of hot punch. Meanwhile, you go put some more coal on that fire and buy a new coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he became a second father.
Uncle Scrooge!
And it was always said of Scrooge that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, every one.